All right, today I'm gonna work on trying going to try and work on a very expressive, happy face. So I'm just taking a picture of my face as a reference to figure out where things need to go, proportions, and this is something that you should do on every piece that you want to work on if you want it to be somewhat proportional accurate. All right, so all I'm doing right now is just tracing this out. I do want to push in the eye sockets. I did try and just draw everything out before actually pushing in the eye sockets this time. Um, some things to think about is you always want to turn, like you all. I would definitely suggest that you get one of these wheels, because you're going to need to turn it to its side profile all the time just to make sure everything looks good from the side as well as from the front. Another thing you're going to want to think about when you're throwing this is you want it to be thick enough to support enough weight to be able to push in if you need to be able to carve into things if you need to. So this pot is a little bit thicker than I would like it if it were to just be a pot, but since I am sculpting on it and also adding and taking away things, it's just better, I think, if it's thicker. So just some things to think about. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in the socket here. I know where it is. I kind of see the shape of it. When you push in your eye sockets, you want to think about making a hexagon type shape, and you can see where here would be one of the sides, this would be one of the sides, this would be one of the sides, this, and then slight right here. So that would make up the hexagon shape. So you want to, when you're pushing this in, you want to support the back. Although I'm recording this right now, you want to push in the back or support the back while you push in from the front. And you want to try and follow that shape as you're pushing. You don't want to just press randomly. You want to push in with the shape that you're trying to form. So try and follow the outline of the hexagon shape that you have outlined with your tool. All right, so after you push this in, you may have cleared some of these lines here, like around the brow, the nose, stuff like that. If you did, just make sure you come back in with your tool and re-sculpt or re-outline that area, just to keep yourself on track. You want to make sure you're using these as guidelines to the overall structure of the face. All right, so as you're making it, turn to the side. Make sure you have reference photos, not just for the front, but for the side as well. If it looks a little too big or out of proportion, don't worry about it just yet, okay? Just get the basic forms down. Figure out the outline of the basic shape, okay? So that's the outline of the basic shape. Make that outline of your nose or whatever reference photo you're doing. Make that shape first. Make it in your hands. Then put it on to your face. Make sure you slip and score. And then look at the side. Say, all right, does that look right in terms of how it's protruding out of the face? Do the nostrils look right? I started with just this shape, just this like long teardrop type shape, and then I add the nostrils after it. So you could do it however you want. You could make the entire nose first and then slip and score it onto it. But I would suggest doing big, basic shapes, okay? Because you're still going to have to fill out the cheeks, the lips, chin area, you know, all these different little minute muscles around the face, the lips, all that stuff. You're gonna have to fill that in to get a good understanding of how this nose actually sits with the rest of your face. So I would just say, you know, obviously you can do it your way, but the way I do it is I make a basic shape first, make sure I'm using my reference photos to the best of my ability, and then I add it to the form. Then I redo all my lines. Maybe I saw something looking back at my reference photo that I didn't see the first time, and I'll add those lines onto the face. So I've added some of these creases around the eyes. I had this around the forehead, but there was a crease right here as well. And I'm just using my own face as a reference. It's not going to look exactly like it, okay? So whenever you're making these, you very first start making these, unless you're like a prodigy, it probably will not look exactly like your reference photo, which is okay. Just taking the time to observe the reference photos, working with your hands to put it on the pot, those are the only skills you need. I mean, if you look at some of my videos from a few years ago where I was making vase faces, it looks nothing like it does now, and that's just because it's repetition. It's a lot of understanding how the face works, understanding how all of these parts play on with one another. So you can't really decide whether this is a good shape or a good look to your face yet until everything is added on. So yeah, don't get discouraged. And I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add these cheeks to kind of make it fuller, maybe the lip, thicken this upper lip here to kind of make it flow in. I'll probably cut out the mouth and just start adding more depth into these creases, and I'll show you guys how to do that. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to pad it up this brow line right here. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to that, because if you look at faces from the side, there's a little ridge right here. That's the brow line. So I usually like to add that, work around the muscles of the eyes and around the cheek and lip area, and just go from there. All right, brown line added. Pretty subtle from the side, but adds more depth from the front. All right, for the cheeks, you can see that there's this elongated sort of triangle curve thing here. And the easiest way to do that is to just start with a triangle, okay? Then you elongate the triangle downward, and then you push it in, and you make your curves. You push in the top, you make your top curves. You keep this curved out, and then you just elongate it. And then you're going to slip and score the back and add the cheek. But as you can see, you can simplify a shape, and then you can distort the shape afterwards. So this is, in its basic form, just a triangle. You know, then all you need to do is just make those little curves, keep some of these curves out, and you'll have your shape. All right, so I've added the cheek structure somewhat. Still need to add the upper lip muscles. I'll add some of the lower lip and like chin muscle connections over here as well. Then I'll probably start on the eyes. All right, added the eyes. And now I'm going to cut out the mouth, add the teeth. Then I'll probably be done for the day with the bulk bulk shapes and whatnot. And then I will have to let it sit and dry for a little bit so I can do some finer details, kind of clean it up. All right, this is it for the first session. I added some more meat along the side here where the crease lines are. Emphasize those creases around the top here. There's this line here around the cheek that I added. Obviously added the teeth. And I think that is going to be it for today. All I'm going to do is just cover it up, plastic bag, let it sit for about 24 hours, and then I can work on it some more, add some more finer details, the teeth, and clean up the lines here, edges, use a paintbrush if it's dry enough. So it's starting to get there. Probably work on the teeth, bottom teeth tomorrow. And yeah. Oh, I need to add the ears. Dang. All right, I gotta add the ears now. So let me. All right, the ears have been added. Just very basic shape right now. I'll come back in tomorrow and kind of carve that out some more.